Hey guys, Evrelia here. This is a guide to the Stone Guard on heroic difficulty. For this guide I assume you're already familiar with normal mode difficulty. Now the main difference to this encounter on heroic difficulty is the presence of 4 large crystals that appear where the guardians were standing before combat. If you click on one of these crystals you gain a debuff. This debuff has 7 stacks and deals 80,000 damage to you per second. When you have this debuff, every time you run over one of the floor tiles throughout the room, it lights up and you lose 1 stack of your debuff. And for every floor tile that you light up, the entire raid gains 1% damage and 1% spirit. This spirit buff in particular is extremely important, as your healers will be going through their mana extremely quickly. The floor tiles stay lit until the boss reaches certain health percentages. At 75% and 40% all floor tiles will disappear. Now remember, each type of petrification makes you take reduced damage from one element. This applies to the damage you take from the crystal dot effect too, so it's best to only click the crystal that is the same colour as your current petrification. You can look at the power bar on your screen to see what colour to take. However, the damage from the crystals is not that high, so if you have a small cooldown you can take the wrong crystal without much problem. This can actually be a good thing because it will let you light up the opposite side of the room too. The best way to make use of this buff is to have all of your DPS, ranged and melee, run to the crystals at the start, click on it and light up 7 tiles each until you have over 100 stacks of the buff. This should only take a few seconds, especially on 25 man. You have to do the same thing at 75% and at 40%. Now that you have the buff sorted out, there are 3 things in this fight that can wipe you. The first is Cobalt Mines. This is cast by the Cobalt Guardian and creates an ice crystal on the ground with a dotted circle around it. Once it appears, you have 3 seconds to move out of the circle before it becomes active. Anyone who stands in it after it becomes active will take very high frost damage, around 90% of your health, and will be rooted for 6 seconds. Boss mods do not announce this and it can be very hard to see, so you have to pay close attention. If anyone is hit by it, they fucked up, even if they say they moved. To help you with this, your tanks can deliberately stand in them to remove them, to give you more space to move, because it won't kill a tank. Also, when you have Cobalt Petrification, you should clear any that appear instantly because they won't deal any damage to you. The next problem is Jasper Chains. This binds 2 people together. If you're more than 10 yards apart from each other, you take stacking fire damage each second. If you're less than 10 yards apart, you take no damage. If you stay apart until the stack reaches 15 or for 15 total seconds, the chains will break. The only time you can safely do this is during Jasper Petrification. However, you need to keep an eye on the Jasper Guardian's energy when you do this. If you stood far apart breaking your chains and Jasper Petrification ends, you'll start taking full damage again, so the best thing to do is only to stand just far enough apart. Chains can also make it very difficult to stack the tiles buff up. If you're chained to someone, you should move together with them to stack the tiles buff. The last important thing is how your tanks taunt the mobs. It's really important that all of your tanks can see all of the boss's energy bars. You can use shadowed unit frames and enable the boss frame to ensure that this is displayed. On 25 man you should have the mobs on 3 tanks at different points. 2 of the tanks have 1 mob and the 3rd tank has 2 mobs. For example, 1 tank has the Jade and Amethyst Guardians, 1 tank has the Jasper Guardian and 1 has the Cobalt Guardian. The Jasper Guardian starts to cast Petrification, so the tank that is tanking him taunts one of the 2 mobs that are together. The best one for him to taunt is the one with the lowest energy, so he taunts Jade. Since Jasper has higher energy than Jade, Jasper will explode first, so they don't need to do any more tank swaps. Next, the Cobalt Guardian starts to cast Petrification. The Cobalt Guardian is on his own, so the tank should taunt one of the 2 mobs together with the lowest energy. In this case, the Jasper has the lowest since it just exploded, so he taunts that. Now, the tanks were a little slow to swap here, so the Jasper ends up with more energy than the Cobalt. If the tanks don't do anything else, the Jasper will explode first and you'll wipe. In this case, when the Jasper and Cobalt have more energy than the Jade, the tank that is tanking the Jade will taunt the Cobalt to him. Now, Jade and Cobalt are being tanked together, and Cobalt will explode first because it's higher. For more guides, remember to subscribe or visit wowraids.org, or you can watch me live on twitch.tv/Evrelia.